Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Monday, everybody. Hey, Liz, how are you? I hope that you had a marvelous Monday. Hey, everybody. So, how was everybody's day today? Nobody's talking this evening? Y'all just waiting on me to start talking? Indeed. Okay, good, good, good. I know you told me earlier that you had a very productive day, so that's good news. Wonderful news. Good evening to those of you joining in. While we are waiting on people to come in, can anybody put down in the comments for me any of the topics that we have discussed over the last 8 days? Any of the topics that we have discussed over the last 8 days. Can anybody name one or two for me? Any topics that we discussed over the last 8 days. Can anybody name at least one? If you can, I would ask that you would just please put that down in the comment for me. Y'all still okay? Healthy and yes, yes, yes. Healthy and unhealthy relationships. Yes, that is one. Anybody else? At least one topic that we have discussed these past 8 days. Anybody know? Okay, well, I guess not. Hey, Sean. Okay, so since on my end, Liz was the only one to comment, Liz, I have something special for you. Look for it by the end of this week, and thank you for commenting. So we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's discussion. But before we do, before I introduce tonight's topic, I'm going to just give a recap of all of the topics that we have discussed thus far. As Liz commented, healthy versus unhealthy relationships. The very first one we talked about was self-love. The next one was love versus lust. Next, we had communication and the 5 love languages. After that, we had difficulty in dating. Then, like Leah stated, healthy and unhealthy relationships. What love is not, the different types of abuse. Teen dating violence. And then on last night, we talked about setting boundaries. And tonight, we are going to talk about sex. S-E-X. That 3 little word, that small little word that tends to get so many people in a world of trouble, that tends to get people hurt. Sometimes it gets people killed, unfortunately. Sometimes, we end up with children. We end up having to co-parent with someone that we may not have, wanted to end up being tied to for the next 18 or 21 to however many years. Unfortunately, we get diseases from this one little word. Sometimes those diseases can be cured. Sometimes those diseases cannot be cured. So just by that one little small 3-letter word, it can bring us a lot of pleasure and it can bring us a lot of pain. So if anybody has anything to say about this little small word, that, like I said, can go from the good end of the spectrum to the bad end of the spectrum. If you would, please just post your comments in the comment section. Tonight we are talking about sex, S-E-X, that small little word, that small 3-letter word. Hello, Miss Belt. Hey, LaSherica. That small 3-letter word, like I said, that tends to get people in a world of trouble. Oftentimes, especially as teenagers, especially as young adults, we have a great misconception about what sex is. Especially in today's society with social media being, just right at everybody's fingertips, from the youngest to the oldest. All you have to do is just pick up a phone. Thank you, D'Angelo. All you have to do is just pick up a phone and whatever you want to search. Like nowadays, you don't even have to get on the computer. All you got to do is just pick up your phone and just type in that search bar, and whatever you want to see, whatever you want to know, whatever you don't want to know. Because sometimes you could be looking for one thing and then something else pops up. Yes, Michael and LaSherica. Yes, that is so true. Peer pressure, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, but just feel free to chime in the comments. But yes, our young people, get caught up into peer pressure, and they get caught up. Hey, Michael, they get caught up, because their friends are telling them, oh, you're a punk, or oh, you ain't no man unless you do this, or, real boys do this, or athletes do this, or, so-and-so do this, or, you could do it, it's not gonna hurt you, or it's not gonna make you a bad person. All of these things. You can't get pregnant the first time you have sex. You can't get a disease. You can't get pregnant in a swimming pool. You can't get pregnant standing up. Hey, Lamar, all these crazy things, all these crazy myths that people have said to us, since we were little bitty children, even up to adulthood, surrounding that one word about sex. For so long, especially in the Black households and in the Black community, talking about sex was like a taboo. Like there was a word that you better not even discuss. If you're not married, you shouldn't even be talking about the word, let alone engaging in the activity. But now, in 2021, that's like the number one topic that you should be talking about. Like I said, especially with your teenagers, your preteens, your adolescents, in my opinion, as soon as a child starts to go through puberty, or either those years leading up, to puberty, this is a discussion that you need to have. You cannot rely on, the teacher to talk about it in class. You cannot rely on the teacher to talk about the reproductive system and the eggs and the sperm and the this and the that. Like, no, like these are conversations that you need to be having at home with your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, fictive kin, whomever. And because the thing about it, like I said, society, social media, friends who don't know anything, they will fill your child's head with all of these lies, with all of these misconceptions, with all of these untruths. And then before you know it, you have this child who's growing up thinking that, oh, well, if I have sex one time, I can't get pregnant, or I can't get a disease. Or, if we have oral sex, then, I can't get a disease, or nothing is going to happen to me. That's safe. And for so long, our teenagers, they thought that. They believed that. They believe that as long as we're not having physical sex, as long as we're not being penetrated, then I'm good, I'm safe. No, that's not true. Because guess what? Even with oral sex, you can get diseases. You may not get pregnant, but you can still get a disease. And as I stated earlier, some diseases are incurable. That's something that you will have to live with for the rest of your life. Something that you may or may not have to take medication for the rest of your life. All because of that 3-letter word. Like I said, that 3-letter word that can bring you a lot of pleasure. That 3-letter word that can bring you a lot of pain. Hey, Bree. Yes, LaSherica. It's like, a two-edged sword. Yeah, D'Angelo, it's important. But like I said, a lot of times, people want to depend on the schools for everything. Now, I'm just one person, and like I said, I'm not a perfect parent, but I do try to prepare my children. I'm going to give them the tools. What they do with the tools after that, it's on them. But I am going to tell them. And I tell my sons, you can, get a girl pregnant the first time. You can get a disease. You can, get trapped. You can, all of these things. Don't listen to what those people telling you about you can't or this ain't or what. That's a lie. That's a lie. That 3 to 5 or less minutes of play can lead. That's right. That girl said 3 to 5. She said 3 to 5 minutes or less. Yes, indeed, Liz. Okay. But yeah, that's true. Those few moments, those few minutes of passion and intensity and, sharing of energy and bodily fluids and all of that, can lead to years of regret. And especially if you do end up having a child by this person, you may, end up having some type of resentment towards your own child. You may end up having some type of negative vibes and negative energy throughout your whole pregnancy. And guess what? Once you deliver that baby is going to come out and have that same disposition. That's why grandma used to tell you, don't be talking about nobody when you're pregnant. Your baby going to come out looking just like them. Or, don't be doing this or don't be doing that when you're pregnant. Because, you could put that stuff on your child. And I believe that to be true. I really do. Now, it may not be, any scientific proven evidence of that, but I believe that to be true. I believe that if you have a happy disposition while you're pregnant, then you're going to deliver a happy baby. Yes, they do it. They do it, D'Angelo, and it's so sad, and the sad truth about it, and I'm just being real, the sad truth about it is that some parents groom their daughters to go after a certain caliber of man simply because they want their daughters to be taken care of. They want their daughters to marry people who have money. They want their daughters to marry men who are of a certain status and power and prestige and notoriety in the community, simply because they want their daughters to be taken care of. And I just think that is so wrong. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Miss Martha. Hey, Miss Connie. I just think that is so wrong. But like I said, I'm just being real. You have some parents who groom their daughters to, graduate high school, go to college, and instead of them going to college to get an education to better themselves and then go out and start their own career, they go into college looking for a husband. They're not interested in anything that the teacher is talking about. They're not interested in joining any type of organizations that can enhance their learning and broaden their horizons. They are simply on their college campus to find a husband. And there's something wrong with that, people. It is something wrong with that. And then vice versa, because unfortunately, you have some guys who are looking for a woman to take care of them. They're not looking for partners. They're not looking for somebody who that they can share their goals and dreams with. They're not looking for somebody who they can, build with. But they really want a woman to take care of them the same way that their mama took care of them. And there's something wrong with that, people. Yes, LaSherica, and they do get bullied. Children get bullied for so many things, and 9 times out of 10, and Danny can attest to this if you don't mind, Danny, because Danny was a former athlete. A lot of times that locker room talk, that's all it is. It's just talk. There is no truth to what those guys are in there saying about how they smashed this many girls, or yeah, man, she came over my house and we did this, and this. Now, sometimes they may be telling the truth. Sometimes they may be exaggerating the truth. And sometimes they just lying. They're just lying. That's right, D'Angelo. But like I said, I'm going to call it both ways. I'm going to talk about the men and the women. It happens. It happens. And that is the sad reality that we're living in. It happens. Hey, Quisha, it happens. And that's why, we have to be so proactive in our children's lives. That's why we have to be so proactive in the lives of, any child, any adolescent, young adult who, comes to us for advice, and tell them the truth. Tell them the unadulterated truth. Tell them the raw truth, because they need to know that. Their friends don't know any more than they know. And sometimes their friends may not have a family member or a friend or somebody who they trust to be honest with them. So if they come to you seeking advice and seeking knowledge, then please be honest with them and let them know. Right. They name call you. They call you a virgin. They call you weak. They call guys punks. They say, oh, you just a holy roller, or, you think you too, miss too good at two shoes, and all of that. Hey, CJ, all of these things, and they target these children because these children are trying to do what's right, because their parents are trying to teach them, what's right. And sometimes, as parents, like I said, we do give our children the guidelines. We give them the guidelines. We give them the tools. We give them everything it is that they need to know. But sometimes, they have their own minds. They go out there and do what they want to do. So guess what? If that is what they choose to do, your girls need to be on birth control. Your guys need to know how to put on a condom. And sometimes 2 or 3, because like I said, these girls will try to trap these young boys, especially if they know that they're athletic, especially if they know that they're going to make something of themselves. They feel like, oh, well, if I get a baby by him, then he going to be with me. No, boo. He ain't going to be with you. It's plenty of men out here who have fathered children. Some of them have still remained in their lives after the fact, and some of them have not. That's right, Quisha. That is right. Make them understand. Don't just say, no, don't do this. No, don't do that. Ooh, that's bad. Ooh, that's nasty. Don't do that. Like I said earlier, back in the day, talking about sex in a black household and in a black community, that was considered a taboo. Because all they said was, you better not have sex till you get married. You better not be out here being fast. Don't be out here being managed. And that was a done deal. It was shut down. But no, you have to sit these children down and talk to them. And like you said, Quisha, help to try to get them to understand the consequences of having premarital sex. Even, with adults, you have so many adults who, just hooking up. You done met this lady or this man at the bar. Y'all done met at the corner store, wherever y'all met, wherever people meet. I don't know. But, you've met this person wherever. And especially if you at a bar, both of y'all done had a couple of drinks. And then next thing you know, there it is. On the first night. The first night. You probably don't even know this person's last name, let alone their first name. Because, sometimes people are lie to you. Oh, my name Nicole, knowing good and darn well your name ain't Nicole. But hey, that's what it is for the moment. But then, so like I said, you go on and half the time you're already intoxicated. You're not thinking straight. The alcohol has your body, feeling some kind of way because your endorphins have shot up. So you're just in the moment. You're in the mood. Nobody's thinking about a condom. Nobody's thinking about diseases. Nobody's thinking about any of this. And then sometimes you may even bring up, well, wait a minute, hold up. You got a condom? Or wait a minute, hold up. Let me go get my condom. Well, now you going to spoil the mood. Or now I don't like how that feel. Or no this or no that. I ain't going to be able to really feel you. And then what? We have got to be honest with our children, people. And as adults, we got to be honest with ourselves. We should not be out here living reckless. And especially not now in the midst of a pandemic. If you're not married to that person, or if you and that person not already living together, you shouldn't even be engaging in that type of activity with anybody anyway. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just saying because of the state of the world that we're in now. It was dangerous before COVID, but it's really dangerous now. And this is just something, that we need to think about, people. Hey, Dominique, it's just something. Hey, Kelly, it's just something that we really need to think about. And like Quisha said, when you're talking to your teenagers, when you're talking to your young adults, when you're talking to your adolescents, don't just tell them, no, don't do this. Explain to them why. Because the thing about it, especially if it's a rebellious child, especially if it's a child who's already curious, they're going to be like, well, dang, why mama keep telling me don't do this? Or dang, why daddy keep saying don't do this? It's just like when they little and we tell them, don't go over there. That's hot. Some of them, they not going to go, but you're going to have that one that's going to go and touch it. And then they be, oh, that hurt. And then what you say? I told you don't touch it. It's hot. So then 9 months down the road, what you going to say? I told you don't have sex, but you didn't explain to them why to not have sex. You didn't explain to them the consequences and the responsibility that comes along with having sex. I know that's right, Quisha. Quisha say, nah, they ain't wearing no condoms. They don't want to wear no mask. Honey, let me tell you something. Whatever, look, as women, we got to put on bras every day. And we know that is one of the most uncomfortable things that we have to put on our body. But guess what? If you a lady, you're not going to be out here with girls hanging down to the ground. You're going to put that thing on and you're going to make it work. So the same thing with the mask, same thing with the condoms. Put them things on and make them work for the time being. Because unless you're constantly, around somebody, once you get to your office or once you get away from people, you can take that mask off. Once you get through doing the do, you can take that condom off. But you best believe you need to have one on, especially if you know that you are not responsible and that you are ready to be a parent. Or you know that there's a chance that you may catch a disease and you don't want to have to live with that for the rest of your life. So let's just say you out here, just free willing, 16, 17 years old, smashing everything that come your way. Then 20 years from now or 10 years from now, when you do become more responsible, when you do become more mature and you want to settle down, you want to look for a wife, but in the back of your head, you like, how am I explain to my wife that because I was so reckless 10 years ago, now I have this disease and I have to live with this disease for the rest of my life? What if she's not going to want to date me anymore? Because once we do get to that point in our relationship where we do become physically entwined with one another, it's a possibility that I'm going to pass this disease on to her. These are the things that we don't think about when we're 16 and 17 out here smashing everything that come to us or out here opening up for everything that come to us. Those are things that we don't think about. That's right, Monica. Even with people 50 and older. That's right. Some people like hanging low and being looking a mess at Walmart. Like, let me tell you. That's right, LaSherica. That's right. Please put a bra on, people. Please. But yeah. And so, once you have grown and matured, now you want to settle down. Now you realize what mama and big mom and dad and all them was saying to you 10 years ago. But now you're sitting here looking stupid because it's like, dang, if I would have just listened. Dang, I wouldn't be having to sit here, trying to figure out how I'm going to break this to this girl. Listen. That's all you had to do was listen. Hey, Summer. That's all you had to do was listen. The thing of it is, especially for my young people who are on here, your parents have already been where you are. They have already tried all the tricks. They done tried all the lies. They've snuck out. They've broken curfew. They were disobedient, to their parents. All of those things, all of those things have already happened. Like my mom used to say, there's nothing new under the sun. Now it's just more accessible. Now it's literally right there at your fingertips, literally. Because like I said, you can pick up that phone and everything you need to know is right there on that phone. Hey, Fred. So now it's just more accessible. And that's why as parents, as mentors, as leaders in our community, as whatever role you play in a young person's life, you have to be so proactive. Quisha, get on somewhere. Right, Summer. A lot of us do. A lot of us do. Hey, Redonda. Hey, Miss Atkins. A lot of us, we sit back now that we're older and that we're, more mature. We sit back and we think about the things that our parents or whomever said to us. And now it's like, dang, I get it. I get it now. Hey, Natalie. But, unfortunately for some people, that when they do have that revelation or when that light, does come on, it's too late. And so that's why it is imperative, y'all, to talk to your children. And like I said, talk to other people, who look up to you or who admire you or who, feel like they can trust you. Hey, Miss Bridget, talk to them. That's right. That's right, Miss Connie. Everything that they're trying to do, 9 times out of 10, if we haven't tried it personally, we know somebody who has. So we already know the game that they're trying to run. Hey, Miss Yolanda. And like my mom used to tell me, I'm going to give you the rope. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up hanging yourself. Hey, Sean, did Chastity tell you I asked about you? 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up hanging yourself. Then you're really going to be sitting looking stupid because I'm going to take your keys and I'm going to take your privileges. So, it's up to you to decide what you're going to do. You're going to sit here and be obedient and listen to me and, still go out there and have fun and be safe, or you just going to be rebellious. No, D'Angelo, you can get upset because like I said, the parent has already gone through that and the parent knows and is able to recognize the signs, and that parent, especially if their parent got pregnant between that age gap, they're trying to prevent their child from doing the same thing. Hey, Elena, now let me just say this. I'm not on here to bash anybody because I know plenty of people who had children at 16, 17, 18. They have gone on and they are mature. They are raising their children. They, own businesses and all of that. So I'm not on here bashing anybody. But what I'm saying is, as we grow and mature, we're able to recognize the mistakes that we did make so that way we're able to teach our children to not make those same mistakes again. That's right. When you know better, you do better. Thank you, T. That's right. When you know better, you do better. So please don't get off this live talking about Donna on there talking about teenage mothers. That's not what Donna doing. Donna said that things happen. And the more that we grow and mature, we're able to reflect and realize that Mama and Big Mama was right. But look at me now. I'm not going to be a generational curse repeater. The curse stops with me. I'm breaking the curses. I'm breaking the chains. I'm breaking, all the negativity that has come down through the lines of my family. And once you have reached that mindset and level of maturity, you can break those chains and you can break those generational curses. That's right, Sean. We still have to teach them what's right, despite our mistakes, despite our, mishaps, because again, none of us are perfect. And every day that we wake up, we have a new opportunity to do something different. Even if I did, slip up yesterday, when I woke up today, that was my chance to start all over again. Hey, Linda Claire, if I mess up today, because the day, is not over. If I mess up today, guess what? When I wake up tomorrow, I have the opportunity to start all over. And for those of you, who read the Bible, what the Lord say? He wipes the slate clean. He wipes the slate clean. That's what he does to us. Everything that we have done is forgiven in his eyesight. The problem is the people who you seeing on a regular basis. Those are the people who you worried about. But God has washed away all your sins. And he gives you a chance every day that he wakes you up to start over. Hey, Javonia. Hey, Vaughn. Yep, that's right. I went to school with a girl who was like that, D'Angelo. Her parents sheltered her. Oh my God, they sheltered her. And once that girl graduated from high school, oh baby, buck wild is an understatement. Do you hear me? But again, once she matured, she realized, the error of her ways. And now that lady is married, successful, raising her family, and all of that. That's right, Miss Connie. We want them to have fun and enjoy life, but we also want them to be safe and careful. That's right. That's right. You're right, Miss Bridget. Brand new mercies I see. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Like my grandma used to say, we got to stay prayed up and suited up in the whole armor from head to toe and everything in between. Because, nowadays, it's like they have no barriers. Last night I talked about boundaries. It's like now they have no boundaries. They have no barriers. It's like, whatever is, it is. Whatever comes out, comes out. Whatever they want to do, they're going to do it because they're not thinking about the consequences. Or they think that just because it happened to Johnny, because it can happen to you. Just like it happened to the person down the street, it could happen to you too. And that's just the reality of the matter. That's why, again, it is so imperative for us to talk, to our young people about sex and about the consequences. Does it feel good? Is it enjoyable? Is it pleasurable? Yes, it can be. It can be. But is it always? No, it's not. Life itself is not always enjoyable. Life itself is not always pleasurable. But we get through each day and each moment. Yes, Javonia, I agree with that. They do. They do. They act totally on emotion. Nobody thinks about any consequences. Nobody thinks about, they don't even think about tomorrow, let alone 5 years from now. Yeah, they could tell you, 5 years from now, I'll be done graduated college. I'm going to be making $100,000 a year. That's because it sounds good. Now, you do have some who actually have a plan. They actually have their goals and dreams written down, and they will go on and follow those goals and dreams, but not all of them. That's right, Miss Bridget. We have to be real with our children. That's true, D'Angelo. They do. They do. They do. That's right. And you're right. You're right, Miss Connie. For those who did have the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, extended family members talking to them about these things at that age, we did think that, what are they talking about? They so crazy. I don't want to hear this. But now in our 40s, 50s, whatever, we sit back and we can reflect on those conversations and we appreciate them. That's called growth and maturity. Because at 44, I shouldn't be thinking the same way that I did at 14. I shouldn't be thinking the same way that I did at 24. I shouldn't be thinking the same way that I did at 30. At 44 and a half, my conversation should be different than it was 20 years ago. It should be different than it was 30 years ago. Because I've grown, I've lived, I've experienced, I've hurt, and all of those things help to mold you into the person who you are today. Are we perfect beings? No, we are not. But we are imperfectly perfect, and we are here to make a difference in the lives of, especially of the children that we gave birth to. And then any other child who trusts us enough to come to us. And like somebody mentioned earlier, they're constantly having to deal with peer pressure. They're constantly having to be bullied. Even now, in the midst of a pandemic, they may not be being bullied physically face to face, but guess what? They bullying them while they playing those video games. They bullying them, when they supposed to be in class, virtually learning, but they got the little instant message thing popped up over here, and that's called cyberbullying. And it happens, y'all. It happens more often than we think. Y'all have seen the movies on TV. You've seen the shows on TV. That stuff is based on real factual events. That's why so many of our young people are committing suicide or are attempting to commit suicide because they're being bullied. They're being bullied for being pretty. They're being bullied for not being pretty enough. They're being bullied, because they're not having sex. Or whatever the case may be. They're being bullied, because they chose to live an alternative lifestyle. But you may not know, it's not that this person is gay or lesbian or whatever. It's that they're broken. They're hurt because nobody's paying attention to them at home. And then when they come to school, they're getting targeted and bullied by their so-called friends and peers. Or when they get online, they're being targeted by these people. So this person is just withdrawn and isolated. It doesn't mean that they're gay gay or lesbian. It just means that they're all alone and they feel like they don't have anybody to relate to. That's why it's so important for us to pay attention to our children. Pay attention to the things that they say and the things that they don't say. If it's 80 degrees outside and your child walking around, with a hoodie on and, long pants and, always got, sleeves on coming down to, hold up, come here, let me see you. Take that jacket off. Let me see if you got any marks, or anything on your wrists or arms. Let me see the inside of your thighs. Let me see your stomach. Because you don't know. They could be in there, self-relation, but, hurting themselves, cutting themselves. And you don't even know it. You don't even know it. So we have to pay attention to our children, y'all. And as adults, we have to be careful with our own bodies. Love ourselves enough to not allow ourselves to be put, in these entrapments. Love ourselves enough to not be put in these entanglements. That's right, Javonia. The world preys on their insecurities. That's absolutely correct. That's true. That's true too, D'Angelo. But again, that's where the lines of communication come in, And, like I said, nobody's perfect. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just here to share information. And like I said, I go for both sides. The good side, the bad side, the female side, and the male side. I have an open mind. I'm able to see, all points, whether I agree or disagree. But, at the end of the day, I would not be who I am if I didn't share the good and the bad. If I didn't share, both perspectives of this thing. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's absolutely correct, Miss Bridget. Absolutely correct. And it's important for, that person to actually believe that for themselves. Because you can pour into a person all day long. But if they don't internalize that and let that soak in and sink in and start to believe it for themselves, then they're going to be in trouble. D'Angelo, get off of here. They're going to be in trouble. Hey, Votika, hey, Herbert, they're going to be in trouble. Because, you can pour positivity into a person all day long. But if that person is like going in one ear and out the other, and it doesn't stick and stay in the middle and resonate within that person's mind and heart, you just may as well be talking to this wall over here. Because you could tell me I'm pretty, I'm smart, I'm enough, I'm this, I'm that all day long. But if I don't believe that about myself, then, that's when I do start to isolate myself. That's when I do start to withdraw from family and friends. That's when I do stop going to work. That's when I do, stop showing up and doing other things. Because I've let the enemy get into my head. And that's what we have to be careful about. And that's how, our children end up committing suicide or trying to commit suicide or end up engaging, in all these negative behaviors and end up, being promiscuous because they're just trying to find somewhere to fit in, and it doesn't matter. They just all over the place trying to find somewhere to fit in. And that's how they end up in gangs. That's how they end up selling dope. That's how they end up dropping out of school. That's how they end up, having babies at 12 and 13. Because nobody's paying them any attention. But you got the streets and you got social media and you got, everything else that's negative. They waiting right there. Like somebody said earlier, they preying on these children. Preying. Just like, the Poe baby, that happened last night. I'm sure a lot of you probably got that Amber Alert on your phone at 1 something this morning. Thank God that child was found and that she's safe now. But that's how it happens, y'all. Just like that. You blink your eye and your whole world can be turned upside down because of one simple mistake. You can be out here living your best life. But because you chose to have unprotected sex, now you have a disease that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. Now you have a child who's connected to a person you barely even know. And you got to raise this child for the rest of your life. or his or her life. We have got to be honest with our children about the responsibility and the consequences that come along with premarital sex. We have got to be honest with ourselves as adults about the responsibilities and consequences that come along with sex as adults. Protect yourself, protect your heart, your mind, your body, all of that. And like I said, especially now that we're in the midst of a pandemic, it's just certain things that we shouldn't be doing anyway. I know, you're lonely. I know, all of those things. Those of us who single, we all are. But at the end of the day, is your whole life worth risking for those few moments of pleasure? That's what you have to think about. Questions, comments, criticisms, anything that anybody wants to share before we get off of here tonight? As always, thank you all for joining. I hope that I have shared something that can help you, and if not help you, that you can share with someone to help them. That's right, D'Angelo. That's right. Hey, I like that, Quisha. Quisha say, is the party worth the price? I like that. And you have to decide either yes or no. Thank you, Quisha. You have to decide, it's, what's too high? You know what I'm saying? What are you willing to pay? What are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your life for, like Liz said, 3 to 5 minutes? Or is it worth it? Oh, Miss Bridget, yes, 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 and yes. Honey, yes, yes. We cannot be hypocrites. Getting on Facebook, getting on social media, getting, out in the community, in private conversation, whatever platform you are on. I hate that. Don't talk to me and tell me one thing and then turn around and go and do something else. Don't preach to me one thing. Don't teach to me one thing, but you out here living something else. Again, I am not perfect. I am not perfect by any means necessary, but I try my best to live right and do right by people. And that's all that I can do. Do I make mistakes? Yes. Do I mess up? Yes. But it's just that. It's a mistake. It's not intentional, and it's not, to hurt anybody. And if anything, I probably end up hurting myself than I will, hurting somebody else. But yes, Miss Bridget, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Because it happens all the time. You have adults, especially, when they're talking to the younger ones, just telling them all of these things. But then little do they know, this teenager or adult or whomever, they saw this very person over here doing this, or they heard about this very person over here doing this, or they know for a fact that this very person is over here doing this. And so you sitting there looking at them like, how you gonna try to tell me, and you over here, and y'all know the first thing they'll say, I'm grown, I could do, but that don't make it right. That don't make it right because you're grown. Because you have people who are looking up to you. You have people who consider you to be a role model. You have people who consider you to be a leader. You have people who consider you to be an example to them. So, if you're going to be an example for somebody, be the right example. It doesn't mean being perfect. It just means being right and being fair. Again, any other questions or comments before we get off of here tonight? Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for tuning in, especially those of you who have been here with me since day one. I truly, truly appreciate you more than you will ever know. That's right, Miss Bridget, every day. That's what I tell myself every day, but every night before I go to bed, I say, Lord, please make me better tomorrow than I was today. That's my prayer every night. Thank you, D'Angelo. You're so sweet. That's right. That's right, Miss Jordan. That is exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you, Javonia. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you, Miss Bell. Thank you so much. Okay, y'all. Well, I hope that everybody has had a marvelous Monday. We are into week 2 of February, y'all. Black History Month. And you know, we just have a lot to be thankful for. Thank you so much, Miss Bridget. We have a lot to be thankful for, and so let's just try to remember that. Of course, you know, we do have Valentine's Day coming up, but my thing is we should love on people every day. Thank you so much, Miss Connie. We should love on people every day. I don't care if it's just a text message, a phone call, you know, you buy somebody coffee, you know, you cash app them, you know, or just to say, hey, how are you? You know, you crossed my mind, so I just wanted to stop and, you know, check in on you to make sure that you're okay. Especially in the times that we're living in now, you never know how much that would mean to somebody. So if, you know, God places a person in your mind, just stop and take a moment and reach out to that person just to say hello. You'll never know, you know, the world of good that it may do them to hear from another person, whether it's, you know, a phone call, text, or whatever, you know, because there are so many people, young adults, children, teenagers, and adults who are suffering silently. So many people going through so many things that, you know, nobody even knows about. So many people who look good on the outside. They smile and they, you know, they look like they got it all together. They dress to the nines. They talking the talk. But once they get home, they fall apart, y'all. Because they're so lonely and so miserable. And they don't know how to pick themselves up. All they know is how to go out there and be fake and wear the mask and just get through the moment. You have so many people who are just getting through the moment, whether that moment is for 30 minutes or whether that moment is for 8 hours, but they have psyched themselves up to get through the moment. So remember, y'all, SEX, it can be minutes, moments of pleasure, and those minutes and moments of pleasure can turn into a lifetime of pain. So be careful, be smart, and be safe. Thank you again for tuning in tonight. I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good night.